What's happening, everybody? It's Joseph R. Wheeler III, artist, founder, president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back. It's just your friendly neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we getting into it as we always do. Chopping it up, brainstorming, shooting the breeze, talking about life, talking about things that we are into at ONYXCON, which are many, many things because we are a multi-niche, I repeat, multi-niche content operation. We are a lifestyle, y'all. So there's many things that go into that. Everything from your physical health to your mental health, because that's all together. You know, it's mind, body, and soul. That's ONYXCON Fitness. We got ONYXCON Rides. I'm rolling right now. You know what I'm saying? Safely. Everything's, you know what I mean, what it ought to be. Okay. And we talk about travel, especially. We love travel. The expat lifestyle, we moving towards that existence. That's definitely on the radar. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna become more and more stronger because of it. Because all we want to do is be our best, so we can give you our best. You understand? That's the motto, yo. That's the lingo. That's the way it gotta be. That's the whole purpose of life. Is, you know, discover your purpose, live in your purpose, leave a legacy. You understand? But to do that, you gotta explore. You gotta try things. You gotta do stuff and know what you really love, what you can do without, what you might like, but what ain't gotta be every day. What's gotta be all the time. You know what gives you the greatest satisfaction. You feel me? So fulfillment. You know, that's it. That's it. And our perspective on that is, if you live the art life, you're gonna be well fulfilled. Because that honestly is the main thing people are pursuing when they're seeing what they call fun, what they call a good time, what they call excitement and adventure and all these things. It always involves art. It's just most people don't understand what the definition of art is. So they miss the point. They're in that constant battle of their right brain, left brain, instead of understanding there's no battle, it's an equilibrium. And yeah, you might lean more to one side or the other, as I lean more towards the side of the brain for the creative, but that doesn't mean I don't use my other analytical side to interpret and analyze the world I'm in and stay at my optimals as best possible in a world that works against you sometimes for your health and everything, especially a country like mine that's got so much craziness going on. But we don't focus on that frequency. We focus on these other frequencies, and we realize, hey, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm able. And as long as I'm able, I can't get caught up in the nonsense. I got to focus on that purpose again. It's all about that. So we're doing multi-niche content. One of the great things we do is gaming content. And I've been focusing on that a little bit more lately. You know, it comes and goes in seasons and weeks of, and a week could be a season, a day could be a season, quite frankly, but it's been weeks for a while now that I've been dabbling back into that, because there had been a while where I remember 1 month where I almost didn't play on any game for the whole month. I was just too busy with other stuff, but I said, nah, I'm gonna get back to my stuff. So I started playing R-Type, okay, again, because I love that game, R-Type Final Evolution 3. And it's hard as hell. I had to put it in kitty mode, and it's still hard, okay? But I'm working through it. And I started back playing Cyberpunk 2077 recently, too, because they did the 2.3 patch. And that upgrade gave you a couple of new really cool functions. And that's the main thing I wanted to kind of talk about, because I'm gonna be doing a video at some point, maybe today, we'll see. By the time I'm finished out here doing the day hustle, you know what I'm saying, riding, doing these courier gig things I do, you know what I'm saying, I drop off all these packages and everything, get these folk their groceries, get these folk their packages, whatever. Once I finish all that, you know what I'm saying, shout out to all my fluorescent wearers, people who wear the fluorescent vests and everything. We out here making it what it is. But after I finish that part of life, I might play a little Cyberpunk later on. And if I do, I'm going to elaborate on the things I'm about to brainstorm on. And I'm gonna do it in game. Like I'm gonna be playing so y'all can see some of the stuff I'm talking about while I'm analyzing and criticizing and whatever. And the reason I use the word criticize, because I want to talk about especially the future of it and how a lot of folks are doing these videos now. I see it all the time. I mean, ever since they announced Orion, which is the working name for Cyberpunk 2077, sequel. Okay, the second game, they're working on part 2 right now. CD Projekt Red, the company from Poland that actually has an office here now in Boston and some other parts of their network, but they're piecing it together. They also do The Witcher, if you know those games and everything, and you're a fan of all that. So the game's gonna be amazing. Everybody knows that. It's gotta be amazing. There's no, after all of what that company has been through, all of the glitch criticism, it still has glitches. They know what's expected. They know the burden they have to perform at. They literally gotta, there's no such thing as 100%, but I'll be damned if they ain't gonna have to come with a 99% game. It's got to be like that. It's got to be so absolutely incredible. Works and flows well with no issues. Don't matter how many times you gotta update it. We're used to that by now. I think they've tested that water enough to know the fan base for the game is used to, and they don't have to keep doing stuff like what they've done in the past, where they every now and then they say, okay, this is the last update. Like even with this last 2.3, they just said we got another one. They didn't even say it's the last one. They know not to do that because it becomes goofy. It's like, I don't know if that's a cultural thing. I mean, they are a Polish company. I don't know a lot about Polish culture and everything, but I wonder if that's, sometimes people gotta understand, like there really are things known as cultural gaps, like for real. Like in some places, what we take for granted, if somebody says something, they may not even mean it literally, but that's just how they talk. Like, you know, oh, this is the last time, but everybody knows it's not the last time. We're gonna do the same damn thing tomorrow. Maybe that's something in their culture, because they did like 5 patches for this game, and every time they said, well, this is the last one, everybody. Everybody like, man, you said that 2-3 ago. We ain't listening to you no more. We just want the patch. So they stopped doing that, I noticed. They just bring them out. They upgrade the game as they want to, when they can. And that's what I think they should be doing. They still have people working on it. They say that because there's all these people who get these, I don't know how these folks get all this stuff, but there's supposed to be a server that shows the job entries for hire, for game development folks at CD Projekt Red. It's got to be public notice, but I mean, I'm just like, of all things for people to dig and find, it'd be amazing to me when people do those videos and they show the actual listings, and it'd be like, you know, it's nothing but words on the screen. There's nothing colorful about it. It's nothing exciting. Or even coding, like they'll dig into the coding of the game and be like, well, I think this means that we're gonna get this, and this in the game in the future. It's like, wow, that's a whole nother level of geekiness that I don't ever need to be on that level. I'm not at all. I've never been a computer geek, but you know, I do like games, but that's just crazy to me. But thank goodness for those who do, because they do sometimes have some theories that I'm like, that seems logical. I can see that happening. You know, if it sounds logical, I'm with it. That's all it comes down to. Does it sound like that makes sense with the pattern of what this company has shown us they do and how they like to do it? If it's that, then it's that. Then that's what it'll be. If not, then, hey man, you're a consumer at the end of the day. You gotta wait, and you just gotta wait. Nobody knows what it's gonna be in 5 years from now. Hell, Universe Bless will still be here. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of thing it is. You got literally probably 5. They've already said that it could take 5 years of development. So, or more. So this 25, there you go. You're talking about 2030 before we even see this game. Possibly even 2031. I want it to be 2030 because I know that between now and then, knowing 5-year and 10-year business operational goals and how they tend to go, what's more than likely going to happen, and this is from my insider perspective of having so many years, 12 years of experience in the Hollywood side of filmmaking, but also independent filmmaking. I know the timeline of how shows and movies go. So I know that there's a movie or a television show or something being developed. I'm talking about live action based on the world of Cyberpunk. Now, there's one that I did a video about years ago when I saw an article about this one, and I don't have my notes to give you the name of the guy, but I can remember what he did. He was the director of a good many of the, if not all, I know a good many of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And he also did, which was his big flop. He did the Lone Ranger, you know, movie modernization, if you will. And, you know, that's my grandfather's era. So that, you're already biting off a hard one to try to get people to give a damn about something, such an old concept in the way that it was. And it was so backwards anyway. I mean, the Lone Rangers, the fantasy of the white cowboy with the sidekick native that was just, you know, it had all of them racist stereotypes and stuff in it, you know. But they tried to upgrade it. They gave Johnny Depp, who might have native ancestry, but yeah, he was playing the native guy and all of that. And it was just like, it was a flop of a movie. It really bombed this dude's career. It literally had him in a hole where until recently, he did a few other things and started to kind of come out that hole. And then they announced that he was working on this futuristic project. You know, they're being real vague. They gave it some working title that was long and ridiculous. It was, I forget what it was, like something, I don't even want to say what I remember because it's going to be off. But it was like a sentence. It wasn't like a one word. It wasn't like a 2 word. It was like a whole damn sentence, right? And as soon as I saw this, I looked at the plot, because they gave a log line, as they call it. And that means there's a difference in a synopsis and a log line. Synopsis is more words. This is usually a paragraph worth of definition of what something is. Log line is one sentence that tells you an idea of what this is. And it's usually a run-on sentence because they're still trying to choke it for every little bit of information to make it make sense. But not quoting, okay, just based on memory, it said something to the effect of, you know, a motley crew of folks walk into or in a diner, or this guy walks into a diner from the future. He's somehow coming out of the past through some portal into, I guess, our time now, 2025. And he's in a diner and he meets this ragtag crew of folks that he wants to assemble into a team to go back with him into his dimension and defeat a rogue AI system that threatens to destroy the world or something like that, right? Now, the minute I heard rogue AI and all the futuristic elements, I thought, could it be? You know? Now, the other reason I pieced that together was there had been a previous article to this article announcing that mentioned this same director was working on something, and they were real vague back then, but they said that the production company, when they named the production company, I pieced that together with another tidbit. It's all detective work. You really got to go deep to get into the rumor element of making rumor content on YouTube. But it was another article, so it's 3 articles, right? And each of these are spaced out within months or years of each other, right? But the very first thing I noticed when they first announced that there would be a Cyberpunk 2077 live action, either show, movie, some type of series, whatever, I said, oh snap, right? I went crazy because that's the dream, you know, not only as a fan to watch it, quite frankly, as an actor, I wanted to be in it. So this is far enough back that I literally I reached out to people I know to see if they knew anything, because they got the insider school. And I'm like, where's the auditions? Who would I need to talk to, you know? And they named the production company that should be handling it. So that's all I had at the time. None of my people knew anything. They didn't have any direct connections to that particular production or production company. Any of the people that I named that were said to be possibly attached to the project, all that, they didn't know. So I said, damn, okay, I'm completely at ground zero with trying to get in, so here's what that is. Push the marker forward. You know what, I've said this before, so I will say this again. Now, I have had contact directly with the man himself, not directly, but his main assistant, and that being Michael Pondsmith, who is, as I always say, what George Lucas is to Star Wars, Michael Pondsmith is to Cyberpunk 2077. So his assistant, his name of his gaming company that made the original game, that started everything, that inspired the video game, and all the creators in Poland with Cyberpunk 2077, how they developed the video game, they were all fans of the tabletop game. So from the tabletop game to what ended up being what we all know, and what that inspired with, of course, Trigger Studios was hired in Japan to do the amazing anime, one of my favorite animes, definitely favorite anime series of all time. Yeah, I said it. It is. It touches me in every wonderful, great storytelling way. It's a beautiful, beautiful, strong, deep, riveting story. Okay? Love that thing. It's off the chain. Speaking strictly of anime from where the word anime comes from, Japan. Not Americanized. We love anime. We did something that looks like their anime. No, I'm talking about from Japan anime. I'm saying as far as series go that I've ever cared to watch. That's the other part. Because a lot of people, oh, how you can say that? And you never watched. You must have never seen. I don't care about all this young generation stuff that y'all loving. I grew up on what I grew up on. If it can't compare to Akira or any of the Studio Ghibli type stuff, I'm just not usually impressed. I really ain't. I don't give a damn what it is. I'm just usually not that impressed. Some of the greatest mech robot joints, even the more modern ones, I dig a lot of those now. Those are really good. The Transformers joints, and Trigger did some stuff for Transformers, so they in there, of course. But anyway, they did what they did with all that. They're legends. They're legends. So Michael Pondsmith's folk, I got in touch with, and I did have a little community because I was trying to get an interview with the man. I wanted to interview, and I still want to interview Michael Pondsmith. Mike, if you ever see anything I said, brother, it's meant to be. We need to do this. If it can be, we need to do this. I want to interview him. I really do. It'll be an absolute honor. And he just didn't have time. Schedule was conflicting. It was always, he was at this gaming convention, he was at that. He had that going on, this going on. And I respect it. I know how it goes. So I just wait till the time is right. What was last year don't mean nothing about now. What can we do now? So, when it's time to try again, I'll knock on that door. But I realized that they didn't have any connection to, because I asked that about, any connection to, film element. They'll forever be connected from a consultation of how everything ought to be and anything that comes out, but it still is separate entities. So I was just like, okay, still back down to ground zero on this acting side of it, but I did share my independent film with him for what it's worth. So maybe the man himself watched me perform that character and hopefully he liked it. We'll never know unless he says something, but yeah, it's warm out there, y'all. You see that sweat? It's real. It's real. It's even clouds out because it's gonna rain a little bit later. It don't matter. It's just woo. Need one more? Yeah. Woo. It says 90, but no, that's 90 is 95, 95 is 100. Yesterday it was like 100. It was 95, it was like 100. Yeah. Golly, man. It's time for me to shave the stubble again. Okay, I was talking about Cyberpunk. So what I wanted to add was, like I said, Mike Pondsmith, man, the legend forever. I think my greatest goal for anything associated with it on the production level would just be to meet him at some point. I mean, if I could just shake his hand, look him in his eyes, man, and tell him how much what his creation has meant to me, that would be enough, Now, to take it to other levels, I would absolutely adore being a part of whatever live action, show, film. I mean, quite frankly, a show would be, a movie would be everything. I mean, I prefer movies to shows anyway, but in terms of, longevity, stability, financially, all those things there, but you do get tired. I know people who say, they loved every time they were on the show, every day was a good day. And then there's other people like, man, you spend most of your time on set. If you got a family and stuff, they don't see you because you at that show, when it's shooting time, when it's time to make a movie, when make that television show. So a lot of people don't understand that. It's almost like when you hear people talk about being long distance truckers and driving from state to state. That's kind of the kind of hours you're doing, in a way, but you know where you're gonna be. You ain't moving between a bunch of places. You might move locations every now and then, but you're gonna be in typically one town, maybe two for locations, and you're gonna be living there. You're gonna have an apartment, you're gonna have something, a house, something, depending on your situation. You know, they give you an allowance for that, and you're gonna be there until it's done. And you're to be there every day that your character is on the call sheet, you know? So that's a whole nother reality. But so, you know, I don't know. I just want to be a part of it because I've always loved the whole idea of it. To me, it's the next big thing that in a concept is just as big as Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek. It's got that kind of worldliness to it. And as a writer and everything myself, I have my own worlds that are on those levels. And honestly, it can be kind of infuriating the older I get to realize that I might not see my stuff become what it deserves and get a budget to make it on the level of some of these things. So when I can at least see that in my lifetime, a concept that was created by a black man, Michael Pondsmith, reaches the level of what Cyberpunk has reached. And there is a lot of representation in the game, you know, and you can be anybody you want to be in the game. Now the voiceover and all that to speak of things that I want to add to my list of stuff I want to see change in Orion, you stuck with whatever the voice is, okay? You got that one voice option when you playing as V, or two actually. You play as the lady, you hear her voice. You play as the guy, you hear his voice. No matter how your character is. Your character could be a dude look like Wesley Snipes with a gigantic afro, but he gonna still sound like that one dude, no matter what, right? And your lady gonna always sound like that one lady if you play as a lady in the game. So I would like to see that change when they do Orion. I want more voice options. I mean, with the way AI is moving 5 years from now, that ought to be easy pickings. They can have one voice actor do all the recordings and then alter that voice to. Okay, all right, okay. So, yeah, as I was saying, voices could definitely be played with a lot more. Because, I mean, I know games like, what game was that? Monster Hunter. I did one of the, what they call it? Beta test versions of it. And it was all right. Sorry, Josh. Shout out to my homeboy, Joshua. I know if he see this, he gonna be like, man, how can you say just all right? That's one of the greatest games that ever was made. I live in it because he's a total fan of Monster Hunter. He loves that game. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready. It looks amazing. And the stuff you can do in it to develop your character is amazing. The weapons are amazing. The monsters look hella cool. But the concept of the monsters and the reason you're even hunting them and everything, I didn't like the idea. People got a lot of messed up perceptions of what hunting is already in the history of humanity. I grew up hunting and fishing is aquatic hunting. And it gives the impression that these animals really give a damn, you know, that any animal really gives a damn with the exception of the mega predators that will hunt human beings. But still, even, they're not like waking up every morning like, boy, I tell you one thing, I can't wait to eat another human. It's like, you just one more thing that could be an opportunity for a meal if I'm hungry and you're in the wrong area at the wrong time. Like they say about polar bears, that, you know, people have this, they want to cutify everything, make everything a pet, and anything they can't do that with, some people, not everybody, but there's a certain mental, they get mad about it. They want to control it. They just obsessed with controlling every other animal, including other human animals, because we all mammals, right? They want to be at the top of the pile with that. They want to be at the top of the pile over everything else. They think that there's a pile to begin with. There's no fucking pile. You're just another existing creature that has a role to play in the overall of the universe, of this galaxy, of this planet. And that's all you're really dealing with, because you ain't, you know, some of y'all ain't never gonna get to the mental capacity of understanding it universally. But, you know, so I didn't like the idea. I can't work with the concept so much. I mean, I know it's fantasy. I'm a fantasy artist. I'm cool with that. I just cannot or I don't want to put it like that. That's a better word. I just don't want to stretch my mind to, you know, literally torturing gigantic creatures with advanced weaponry. For what? Like, I mean, what? They don't show them eating anything. They don't show. Maybe that's a part of the game I haven't seen. Maybe I haven't seen the feast where you feed a whole village with the creatures that you take down that might terrorize the village because they come through and eat a couple of people every now and then in the game. You know, I don't know. I don't know the lore enough of Monster Hunter. I just know what I saw when I gave it a try, and it just seemed to be all for chest beating. You know, and that. I got a problem with that. Because it ain't that, to me. That's not the real. I ain't gotta ask permission to say what I'm about to say. It's a fact. That's not the you know, the concept of trophy hunting is not the original reason for being a hunter in the first place. And unless you start with that, I don't have no respect for it. I really don't. I think it's ridiculous, and that's coming from somebody who was raised by a father who does use the word trophy and does hunt. But I know my dad will also eat most of what, I mean, if he don't eat it, he gonna give it to somebody who will. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't just, I'm out here slaughtering for the sake of slaughter. I'm out here harvesting for the sake of harvest. No, it's got to be a purpose. It's got to be a point. It's got to be an end result that is of sustenance of something, you know? Like, when he caught that recent 5.68 cumulative 6-pound bass at my favorite pond, which was a heartwarming moment for me, father and son. It was like Father's Day that day, y'all, for real. You know, he knows how to and has done taxidermy of his own, because when the bills got too high, he said, man, let me learn how to do this and I'll do my own